Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my YouTube live stream for Oral Communication in Context, Module 7. For those who do not know me yet, my name is David B. Dichoso. I'm a senior high school teacher of Cabarugis National School of Arts and Trades. This live stream is intended for my students as we learn together on the topics present in Module 7. I would like to recognize all of my students who are already here. Thank you very much for joining me this afternoon as we finish the Module 7, the last module for Quarter 1 of the subject Oral Communication in Context. I would like to shout out to my students from the different sections. We have from section Amethyst, Amber, Crystal, Sapphire, Onyx, Ruby, Emerald. Good afternoon to each and every one of you. I would like to take this opportunity to request everyone to kindly share this link to your classmates so that they will be informed that we are already live. As we go through the module this afternoon, I am requesting you to have with you now the copy of your Module 7 so that together we can relearn, learn, and unlearn our lessons for Module 7 with a specific topic on speech acts, the types of speech acts. You know, I'm very much excited to share with you my learning today because to be honest, I had hard time reviewing this lesson. But what I did was, I tried to look for lectures also of teachers on YouTube. And I realized that there are also great teachers that we should look forward with their videos, especially with their lessons. I learned a lot. Thank you very much for sharing your knowledge, for using this platform on YouTube to reach out to individuals who need help in such lessons. Thank you very much. Let's have a recap of what we discussed last time. Last week, we talked about the different types of speech styles. We differentiated intimate, casual, consultative, formal, and frozen. We learned that when we know the type or the type of communication that we are in, we know how to behave in a certain level. There is a certain level of formality that is appropriate to different types of speeches or events that happen. Excuse me for a moment. As we wait for the others, I would like to acknowledge the efforts of Ivana Lawi. This morning, I was able to watch her vlog when she visited Isabela and Cagayan, wherein she brought with her relief goods for the victims of Typhoon Ulysses. And I felt in my heart that she was really genuine in reaching out for the victims of Typhoon Ulysses. I am also inspired to do the same, to reach out for those who are in need. Though we cannot do the same as what she did, but in little ways, we have also the responsibility to help others. Because together, we are one. I would like also to take this opportunity to thank Philippine Red Cross Quirino Chapter for your efforts for the victims of Typhoon Ulysses within the province and outside the province. Thank you very much, Philippine Red Cross. For today's lesson or for today's lecture on Module 7, I would like to shout out or I would like to take this opportunity to thank the writers of Module 7 from Region 4A Calabarzon. We have Ma'am Jessica S. Solpico and Mr. Mark Anthony P. Lagumen. From the bottom of our heart, we thank you very much for exerting effort in writing these modules that we are using now. Thank you very much. May God bless you more. Hello, Arlene Gonzalez, Angel Salamanca, KJ Sagaw. Good afternoon. Shout out to each and every one of you. Hi, Kim. If you're watching this video, good afternoon too. Once again, thank you Ma'am Jessica S. Salpico and Mr. Mark Anthony P. Lagumen of Region 4A, Calabarzon. As I said earlier, we're going to talk about the types of speech acts. These are the objectives of our live stream this afternoon. After going through the module, you are expected to describe speech act, distinguish types and classifications of speech act, determine appropriate response in different social setting, and respond appropriately and effectively to a speech act. Are you ready now for our lecture on the different types of speech act? If yes, kindly hit the like button and subscribe to this YouTube channel so that you will be informed of our next live stream. Are you ready, class? Do you have now with you your modules? If yes, kindly turn your modules on page 5, Types of Speech Act. Communication happens effectively when the message is passed clearly. The main purpose why we communicate is for us to be understood and to bring unity to one another. If the way we communicate is not clear, then the message we receive is not understood. It only points out that the style that we deliver the message should be clear. The act that we do in the delivery of the message has to be congruent with the message that we give. This afternoon, we are going to talk about the different types of speech acts. Are you ready? If ready, then let's move on with page number 6. What's new? There is an activity that we are going to answer together. It says here, have you ever been misunderstood? How do you feel every time someone misunderstands you? Your task is to recall a conversation you had with someone who did not understand what you mean and gave you a different response. Then, supply the table below with the needed information. So we are then to recall a conversation wherein we experience to be misunderstood by others. So let me try. Situation first. Okay. Situation. Let me think. Okay. One afternoon when we had our snack. So the situation was afternoon snack. And then the scenario was, my brother brought home a pizza that he ordered from a very good pizza house in Cabarugis. And then in that afternoon, I was so busy working on some paper requirements. The line that my mom told me, come over, let's eat now, let's have our snack. And I was like, the line that I said was, sige lang. In English, just go eat. And then, my intention with what I said, sige lang, was for them to separate my portion for that pizza. Okay, are you following? The line in this scenario was, sige lang. That was my statement to them, wherein my intention was for them to separate a slice of pizza for me because I was working on something important. However, the outcome was I had nothing to left. I had nothing to eat. I was misunderstood when I said sige lang. They thought that I do not want to eat pizza that time. But then, my statement, sige lang, means my intention of saying sige lang was for them to eat and the same time, separate a slice for me. I was misunderstood that time. What about you? what scenario or in you experience being misunderstood, either in your school, in the school, or at home. I want you to write your answers in that kind of table and submit it to me. Okay? Are you still with me? Are you still with me? Now, let's move on page 7. What's it? Suppose you will be given another chance to go back to that scenario, to that pizza scenario, Sir Dave. Is there anything you would wish to change in your utterances so that you would not be misunderstood? What realization have you made toward responding appropriately to utterances or statements over a certain conversation? Write your answer on the space provided for. Write your response on a separate sheet of paper. What's my response? Well, if I can turn back time and go back to that scenario, I should have said that, sige lang, please separate a slice of pizza for me because I'm still working on things. I will have that snack afterwards. What realization have you made toward responding appropriately? Well, when I receive a mess or I state things, I have to make sure that my response will be clear and understood by others. I should not make or response in a short manner. Rather, I should make my responses clear, direct to the point wherein they can understand. Or if possible, I would go to them face to face and say it in front of them so that they will be able to understand. That's my answer for this one. What about you? What's your answer? How are you supposed to respond in the misunderstanding that you experienced before? You may write your answers on a piece of paper. Okay? At the lower part of page 7, Speech Act is being defined. It says here, let's all together read your module. A speech act is an utterance that speaker makes to achieve an intended effect. Speech acts are performed when a person offers an apology. When you say sorry, that's already a form of speech act. When it says here greeting, when you say good morning, that's already a form of speech act. When you say please give me this one, when you do a complaint, that's also a form of speech act. It says here even invitation, compliment, or refusal. In summary, speech act is an act of communication. As we communicate with others, we use language without minding whether to use a complete sentence or not. Just like what I experienced. Sige lang was a short statement. I should have stated it in a longer way wherein they could understand what I really meant with what I really meant that time. The number of words in a single utterance does not matter so long as we can get our messages across. That's a fact. Now, there are 3 types of speech act. That's according to J.L. Austin, 1962. Now, if you are a little bit confused, what is J.L.? I tried to research about the complete name of J.L. Austin, and based on Oxford bibliographies and Stanford, J.L. means John Langshaw. John Langshaw. He's a philosopher of language and a developer of speech act theory. There are 3 types of speech act in every utterance given the right circumstances or context. These are, the first one we have locutionary. Can you say it? Locutionary. We have illocutionary, and the third one we have perlocutionary. Locutionary, illocutionary, and perlocutionary. So these are the three types of speech act according to J.L. Austin. John Longshaw Austin. Let's further understand what do we mean by these three types of speech act. On page 8 of your module, let's read together. Number 1. Locutionary act is the actual act of uttering or saying something. This act happens when the utterances of a word, a sound, or even a phrase as a natural unit of speech act. When we say locutionary act, it is when we produce words, when we produce the sounds of the words, when we mean something. That is locutionary. It is when we utter the sound with a meaning. When we utter a statement with a meaning, that is locutionary act. Example, it's hot. It's raining. Those are examples of locutionary act. The second type of speech act, according to J.L. Austin, is what we call as illocutionary act. Now, I want you to focus on these things. There's a certain degree of difference between illocutionary and perlocutionary. But let's start first with illocutionary. When we say illocutionary act, it is an act that it is the social function of what is being said. An illocutionary speech act is not just saying something, it's not just uttering the sound, but with the act of saying something with intention of it. Now, let me give you an example for you to understand it better. With our example with locutionary act, it's hot. The statement was, it's hot. When we do illocutionary act, when we say it's hot, and you are inside the classroom with your friends in there, when you say it's hot, in the illocutionary act, your intention was to ask somebody to turn on the fan. Are you following? Locutionary is when you say, it's hot, the temperature is hot inside the classroom. It's humid. The illocutionary act is when we want them to do something for you to feel better with the temperature inside the room. When you said it's hot, the illocutionary act there was, you are trying to tell them, you are aiming them to do something so that the temperature of the room would be lessened. Maybe you want them to open the windows. Maybe you want them to switch on the air condition. Or maybe you want them to switch on the fan. That is illocutionary act. With another example earlier, when I said it's raining outside, locutionary act. The illocutionary act there would mean that your intention when you said it's raining outside, you mean that you should bring umbrella with you, or you should not go out. That is the illocutionary act. Are you with me? Are you following? The third type of speech act, according to J.L. Austin, is what we call as perlocutionary act. Let's read the definition together. It says here that perlocutionary act refers to the consequent effect of what was said. It's the effect. This is based on the particular context in which the speech act was mentioned. I repeat, perlocutionary act refers to the consequent effect. It is the effect of what you said. When you said it's hot, you intended them to open the fan or to switch on the fan, and then the perlocutionary act there was their action itself. It's when they responded to what you said that is the perlocutionary act. It says here, according to Wagyu Man, The act refers to the consequent effect of what was said. Okay, let me simplify it. With the examples given earlier, it's hot. That is per Locutionary Act. Illocutionary Act. You wanted them, the intended meaning for them should be for them to either turn on the fan or open the windows. The Perlocutionary Act is when they themselves go and switch on the fan. It's when they themselves open the window. The act or the response that the hearers of the message, that the hearers of the utterance respond to what you said. Are you still with me? I hope so. Okay. Let me try to check my notes if I missed some explanations. Okay. Let's try to have a recap or summarize what we said. Locutionary, the act of utterance. When we speak a statement, when we try to do, when we state things, when we make sounds with meanings, that is Locutionary Act. Perlocutionary Act is your intended message for the listeners. Example, when you make a prediction, when you make a promise or a request, or when you issue a decision, that is Illocutionary Act. The third type of speech act according to J.L. Austin, we have the perlocutionary. It is the effect of the utterance. What was the effect upon saying this one to them? That is perlocutionary. Are you all good with that? Do you have questions? If none, then let's move on page 9. Searle's classification of Speech Act or Illocutionary Act. Now, John Searle created this classification of Illocutionary Act based on the types of speech act by John Longshore Austin. And he said that there are 5 types of Illocutionary Act. We have the first one, assertive. The second one, we have directive. The third one, we have commissive. The fourth one, we have expressive. And the fifth one, we have declaration. Now, let's move on and try to understand what do we mean that by the different types of speech act, Illocutionary Act by John Searle. Okay, number 1, assertive. Altogether, let us read it. Assertive, a type of Illocutionary Act in which the speaker expresses belief about the truth of proposition. Some examples of an assertive act are suggesting, putting forward, swearing, boasting, and concluding. Assertive speech act is commonly performed by debaters, by individuals who want to make a stand on certain issues or topics. When we try to assert, it is very important that you are confident of what you are saying. You know what you want to say and how you want to say it. There has to be a sound proposition of what you wanted to say. And when you assert things, the quality of voice has to be with authority. Because you wanted them to believe on what you are asserting. Are you with me? The first type of speech act we have assertive. Next one, we have directive. Altogether, let's read what's written in here. A type of illocutionary act in which the speaker tries to make the addressee perform an action. In short, directive is when we try to request somebody to do something. When we command somebody to do something. Example, kindly pick up my bag. That sounds a little bit bossy. Directive. Kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel. Kindly hit the like button. Kindly share this video to your classmates. That is directive. Okay? It's when you command, when you give an order, when you ask something, when ordering, when requesting, inviting, when advising, and begging. That is directive. Third type, commissive. Commissive is a type of illocutionary act which commits the speaker to doing something in the future. Examples of a commissive act are promising, planning, vowing, and betting. Example, starting tomorrow, I will start my diet. That's commissive because you are going to do the act. I am going to do the act tomorrow, in the future. Next week, we will be talking about understanding society, culture, and politics. That's commissive statement because the act is intended to be done in the future, not today. Unlike directive, it commands an instant response from the hearer or the receiver of the message. In the commissive, the hearer has to do what was being asked in the future. Am I making myself clear with you, everyone? I hope so. The fourth one is it's very nice. It's what we call as expressive. It's very easy, it's very simple when we say expressive. Expressive is a type of illocutionary act in which the speaker expresses his or her feelings or emotional reactions. Some examples of an expressive act are thanking, apologizing, welcoming, deploring. When we say deploring, it's when you disapprove something. Example of expressive, I thank everyone who greeted me. I thank everybody who donated for our relief operations in Cagayan and Isabela. That is a form of expressive illocutionary act. You express your thoughts, your feelings. Expressive. Can you still remember the first type? We have assertive. It's when you assert things. When you want to express belief on a preposition of truth. To a truth of a preposition. To the truth of a proposition. I'm sorry. And then we have the second one, we have directive. It's when you order, when you request, you invite somebody to do a thing. That is directive. Commissive, it's when you want to make somebody do an act in the future. That is commissive. By the word itself, commit. Fourth one, we have expressive. Okay? And then the last one, we have declaration. Kindly turn your modules on page 10. Declaration, a type of illocutionary act which brings a change in an external situation. Simply put, declarations bring into existence or cause the state of affairs which they refer. Example, when the former President Ferdinand Marcos declared martial law, he said, I now declare martial law. What does he mean? It means there is a change to happen in the form of government. Are you with me? In weddings, when the priest or the pastor would say to the couple, I now declare you husband and wife. There is a change that has to happen. And what was that? What is that change? From being single to a married. From living a life individually to a couple, to being a couple. There is a change with declaration. Another example says here, you are fired. It means that from being employed, you're no longer part of the company. Or You are hired. From being unemployed, now you are part of the company. The first one, fired. The second one is hired. Declarations. I now declare class dismissed. Oh, that's what you want, but it's not yet done. We still have some activities to do. Okay? Are you still with me? If yes, kindly turn your modules on page 11. There is an activity, it says here, what's more. Below is a dialogue from a movie. Analyze the speech act of the characters shown in the table below. The title of the movie, My Ex and Why's. Okay. Character, Lisa Soberano as Calixta Cali Ferrer. Line. Oh, it says here, line. This pertains to the Locutionary Act. Am I not enough? Pangit ba ako? Kapalit-palit ba ako? Intention. This one is the Illocutionary Act. To express her frustrations to the person who cheated on her. That's the illocutionary. And the perlocutionary act, the effect is Gio Enrique realized that what he did was wrong. Okay. The activity is, suppose you are in the same situation and what would be your reaction as Gio? Write your response on a separate sheet of paper. So I'm going to put myself in the character of Gio here. When Liza would say, can I change the character instead of Liza? I wanna say Ivana. When Ivana said, I'll say, am I not enough? Pangit ba ako? Kapalit-palit ba ako? My response would be like, lights, camera, and action. Hindi ikaw ang nagkulang. Patawarin mo ako. Anyway, your responses, well, I do not know how are you going to respond in here. It's up to you. How are you going to respond in this activity? I'll just have to read what you're going to write. Okay? But make sure that your response should be related to the statement given by Liza. Okay? If yes, then let's move on with page 12. Activity 1B. It says here, recall your favorite movie or teleserye and its striking lines. Determine the character's speech act by filling out the table. So, there are many movies that I have watched and that I loved. What will be my answer here? So, we are going to do the same. Okay. I have now in mind. Title of the movie. It's not actually a movie, class, but what I wanted to share to you is an application, a mobile application named The Chosen. It's like an app wherein there are certain movies that you can watch in it, and it's for free, as in you are not to pay any single amount of money. I like their episode 4. Well, The Chosen is is composed of series of movies about how Jesus chose his 12 disciples. And what I wanted here to use is the episode 4. It's the episode 4 wherein Jesus was preaching there in the Galilee, and then he met Simon and Peter. Okay, the character here that I wanted to emphasize in this activity is Jesus. Okay? The line of Jesus in that particular movie that struck me most is, follow me. Follow me. The intention of that line for Simon and Peter is for them to become disciples of Jesus. Right? The effect is they followed Jesus as their teacher and they became disciples. So the line, follow me, that's the Locutionary Act. The Illocutionary Act, the intended meaning of what Jesus said, follow me, is for them to become disciples and not just to follow wherever Jesus goes, but to follow every teaching that he shared to them, the principles that he shared to his disciples, to live a life like Jesus. That's what he meant with this. And then the effect was they followed Jesus and they spread the gospel. Okay, so that's how I will answer activity 1B. Now, it's up to you now to choose what movies do you like, what movie do you like most. Identify the character, what was the most striking statement given by that character. You write it. That's the Locutionary Act. And then what was the intended meaning of it? What was the illocutionary act of that statement? And what was the effect? What was the perlocutionary act of what was stated? Okay? So I think that's very easy. Now let's move on for activity number 2. Oh, responding appropriately and effectively to a speech act. It says here, suppose you are in the same situation with the character. How will you respond to the utterance or the statement? Oh, so maybe I'll be putting myself in the character of Simon and Peter. Take note that your reaction must show logical connection to the utterance you must be responding to. So, upon, for example, I'm also a fisherman in that time, and Jesus called me David, and he said, "Follow me." I would say, "Yes, I will follow you. I believe I've been waiting for you to call me by name, and now you are here and you recognize me. I am here to lay down my life for you, for I know that you have plans for me, plans to prosper me and not to harm me, plans to give me a hope and a future." That's how I'll answer this one. Now, what about you? How are you going to respond to the statement given by the character of your chosen movie? Well, I'm very much excited to read what will be your answers in this activity. Okay? Did I make myself clear? Okay, I hope so. Now let's move on with page number 13. We're almost there. Don't you worry. Page number 13. What I have learned. Now, let us check what you have learned from this lesson. Complete the statements by writing the correct word or words. Okay, open your modules on page 13 and let's read together. Blank is an utterance that the speaker makes to achieve an intended effect. Blank is an utterance that a speaker makes to achieve an intended effect. I think I know the answer here. Kindly comment down below what do you think is the answer for this item. I think the answer here is Speech Act. Correct. You are right. Number 2. The functions of Speech Act are, well, I think the answers for this one are mentioned already in the previous discussion. The first one we have offer an apology, greeting, request, complaint, invitation, or refusal. So those are the functions of Speech Act. Number 3, Speech Act is an act of blank. Speech Act is an act of communication. Number 4, there are 3 kinds of Speech Act. They are, I know this, I know that you also know this one. We have locutionary, illocutionary, and perlocutionary acts. Number 5. Locutionary act is the actual act of uttering. This act happens when the utterance of a sound or a word or even a phrase as a natural unit of speech. Correct, Roslyn. You are right with your answer. Very good. Number 6. Blank act is the social function of what is said. The answer here is Illocutionary Act. Number 7. Blank act is the consequent effect of what was said. It is based on a particular context in which the speech act was mentioned. The correct answer here is perlocutionary. Number 8. The aim of the Perlocutionary Act is to change feelings, thoughts, and actions. That's correct. Blank is the philosopher of language and the developer of the Speech Act theory. Who is that? I want the complete name. I want the complete name for number 9. That is John Langshaw Austin. J.L. Austin. Number 10. There are 5 classifications of Speech Act. What are these? We have assertive, directive, commissive, expressive, and declaration. So these are the 5 types of or classifications of Illocutionary Act by John Searle or Searles. John Searle. And for B, explain the importance of being able to respond effectively and appropriately to Speech Act. Use the prompt below to express your thoughts on this. I repeat the question. Explain the importance of being able to respond and respond effectively and appropriately to Speech Act. Use the prompt below to express your thoughts on this. At first, I thought that Speech Act is just about uttering the words, producing the sounds of the words. But now I have learned that there are different types of Speech Act. We have locutionary, illocutionary, and perlocutionary. And for me to become an effective listener or speaker, I have to consider all these 3 every time that I communicate. I have to make sure that the way I speak should be clear and understandable. That what I give to my listeners are the meanings that I wanted them to understand. I should be clear, specific, and I should make use of a language that they can understand. That's my answer for this one. Number 14. Page 14. Do a good turn daily. What can I do? Page 14. Are you still with me? I hope so. Suppose that you are in the situations described below. As a good citizen, how are you going to respond to these? Supply the table with the needed information. The first one is done for you. Okay, let's read the example given. Mrs. Sanchez was carrying heavy books. She said, the utterance was, it's heavy. Illocutionary Act, Mrs. Santos needs help. Perlocutionary, the response, I will help her bring her books. Renato lost his wallet. What might Renato say when he lost his wallet? OMG, I lost my wallet. Locutionary. Well, it means that he wants others to help him find his lost wallet. The response, everybody start looking for his wallet. Number 3. The children were crossing the busy street. Maybe there's a policeman there, and then the utterance might be like, stop, do not cross the street yet. The Locationary Act. The children would wait for the police officer. The children would wait for a police officer to let them walk. The response was, they stopped. For example, number 4 and number 5, it's already your turn to answer on this one. Okay? And the last one, create me a story. Narrate a short story about any of the situations presented in the previous activity. Using expressive and declaration as the classification of speech act, include the dialogue, discourse of the characters to show their appropriate responses. Be guided by the given example. Okay, I'll give you an example. For example, it's in a wedding. And then, inside the church, the couple exchange vows for their wedding. Some would say like, I have been loving you. Roses are red, violets are blue. When I look at you, when I open the windows, I remember only you. Windows at home. Something like that. It sounds corny. And then after they exchange their vows, the priest would declare, I now declare you husband and wife. Expressive, when they said their feelings about towards one another. That's expressive. And the declaration is when the priest declared or the pastor declared that they are married already. They're no longer singles, but they are married. Lucky them. And assessment. Assessment. Okay? I think you can answer this one already. Additional activities. Kindly turn your modules on page 17. You have learned that communicative competence requires understanding of speech act to respond appropriately for effective communication. Hence, it is important to determine the appropriate response in different social settings and situations. Watch an interview from television, radio, or internet. Analyze the utterances of the person being interviewed and point out whether those utterances or statements made were understood completely. Follow followed comprehensively or misunderstood deliberately by the interviewer. Be able to explain the reason why you think certain utterances statements made were misunderstood. Please take note that your output will be assessed using the criteria below. Okay. So, identify one video from the net, from Facebook, of individuals being interviewed. Try to look for maybe a talk show and try to catch a particular question that is being asked by the interviewer to the guest. And then try to determine whether the guest was able to process what was being asked. And then try to determine if she got it right or she responded in a way that is out of the blue. And then you write here the utterances. What was the purpose of the question being thrown by the interviewer? What was being understood by the guest? And then what might be the possible reasons why the guest wasn't able to understand what was being asked. Okay, so that concludes. I now declare that Module 7, it's done. Congratulations, everyone. I hope that you were able to learn something with me today. Until next time, again, please do not forget to subscribe, hit the like button, share this video to your classmates so that they will be informed of our lessons. Once again, good day and God bless us all.